Hello guys, today's another video. Today we are going to rank World War II countries. Last time I did World War I because I'm in this thing called World War I month. So I'm just trying to do mostly World War I content, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna do this. Let's just start. First, let's go with this. So Australia. I don't know anything about like Australia did some. I think they were like Canada. They did pretty good, and they did an enormous assist during D-Day, so I'm gonna give them a B because they helped out in a good way, so I would say they're above average. Next is Belgium, who I think was a D. They, in the battle, Belgium didn't really do much, right? There was a battle, the Nazis come in, they're fighting and all that. Because of that, was it like Dunkirk? They lost everything, and they were easily destroyed. Belgium, you did so much better during World War I. Next is Brazil. Brazil, I'm gonna put in the, I don't know, category. I don't know what they did. Let's move on. I don't know if this one's like India. I think it's like British Raj. I have no idea what to put them, really. I should put them in I don't know, honestly, because I don't have any idea where to put them. They just kind of assisted. Next, I think, is Bulgaria. I think Bulgaria was a C, but I have no idea what Bulgaria did, except help out the Axis powers. And once they fought, they didn't really do that much after all. They might be a D, but they didn't really lose immediately. They tried to hold their ground. They lost to wars, so I can understand why they were kind of weak. So I'm just gonna put them there, just because they were already in a weak position. Next, I don't know what that one is. I can't tell. China. This is the one that's Taiwan nowadays. It's like Republic of China, I think. Nationalist Party of China. I don't know. I don't know what they did that was so major. They lost. So just because they lost, I'm putting them in a D. At least they held out for a while. But to be fair, they kind of had the advantage over the entire country. Here's the Chinese Communist Party. Let's give them B. They were able to successfully win and take over everything, right? So I would say, since they were so clever, I'll give them a B. This is Czechoslovakia, who I think is an F. Man, well, Czechoslovakia never even had an advantage. Just because I want to be nicer, let's put them in D. They immediately lost. They held no ground whatsoever, and they were like that till the end of the war. They were independent for like 20 years, and then never again. Never. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Next up, let's have Denmark. Denmark's an F, by far. I don't care what you say. Denmark shouldn't have lost in 6 hours. If it were 2 days, maybe a D. You know, maybe even a C, because I know they're not the strongest. But 6 hours? Even if it was 8 hours, that would be nicer. But 6? No, just nothing. Finland was a C. They were doing much better in the Winter War, but they didn't really pull any, like, real ground. They didn't do anything enormous, right? So I'm gonna put them there. France is an F. There is no excuse. They shouldn't have lost. I get it, the Dunkirk, and they fell for it all and whatever, but they lost within like 6 weeks. France was a much stronger nation. How did they lose? This is not just some Bulgaria or Denmark. This is France. They're supposed to be a power, and they lost that quickly. This is the war that ruined their reputation in the first place. Now we have Germany. Where are we putting Germany? They were able to conquer all of Europe. They were able to, like, just do so much. Remember, we're going in terms of how well they did during World War II. I know what you're thinking. That's so horrible. But hear me out. Please understand that they were able to take over all of Europe. Blitzkrieg it, right? And I know they failed in many other things. You know, I'll put them maybe at an A just because Hitler's dumb invasion against the Soviet Union. They did it in an ideology war, but also it wasn't just ideology, it's also resources for oil. So, kind of made sense to invade, but they should have had coats. They should have prepared more for the winter. I think that was a big mistake of theirs. Winter destroyed them. So I'm gonna put them at an A. They did an impressive job, but then they lost. Like, they were so close to Moscow. Then they were doing great a second time. You know, maybe an F. They didn't win, but be honest, like military-wise, they were just amazing at the military. It's a good thing they don't have much of a military nowadays. Next up is Greece. B. I mean, Greece was able to beat Italy, but to be fair, Italy was kind of weak to start with. So, not much to say there. They did a B. They did a fine job. Maybe a C on it. I don't know much. Then they lost after a little while longer. But anyways, Hungary. Hungary. I am hungry. I'll put them at a C, since I have no idea what they've really done. That was so impressive. If you don't do an impressive job and you're kind of just there, you get a C. Finland was doing fine, but then they lost really quickly. They didn't pull much ground. If they would have taken Leningrad, they would be automatically like a B or A. Leningrad, you know, that would have been a big one. Next is Italy. Some more of these fascist Axis powers. Italy is a D. Italy sucked. They did a horrible job. They pulled almost nothing. To be fair, they didn't have too much, and after World War I, they lost a lot of their resources and troops. So I can forgive them a bit. But, man, they jumped into things stupidly, like Albania and invading Greece. And they just did their own things. They didn't really follow Hitler, which I think is good, but also that ruined them militarily. Whatever, I don't want to get into more of this. Italy's just a D. Japan's an A. They were able to conquer almost all China, conquer almost the Pacific, and they almost took over Hawaii. If they would have taken over Hawaii, that would be even more impressive, but anyways. Yeah, I would say that. They did pretty fine in speed and military. To be fair, remember, these two nations, that's kind of what they're known for. Military. That's kind of what they trained for. So, to be fair, there's no real it was always expected that they would conquer a lot of land, and they would do great. So, I'll just keep them up there, because they actually have Luxembourg. I have no idea. I think they just immediately lost, but they're tiny, so I'm gonna put them in, I don't know what happened. Mexico, I have no idea what Mexico did. Netherlands is the same as Belgium. Kind of lost almost immediately. Maybe even worse, just because Dunkirk didn't even happen there. Wasn't Dunkirk in France? That was in France. You guys aren't making yourselves look good. They lost so quickly. New Zealand's the same as Australia, and they're very tiny, and they were able to pull it off well, so good for them. Norway did horrible, but they didn't have much of a strong military, because remember, they were neutral, so I'm going to give them a C. Maybe a D, just because I had higher expectations for them. They should have held a little bit better, especially seeing how far they kind of were from the Nazis. Poland's like an A. Poland was able to hold out as great as it could. You know, they were doing pretty good on their own, just for a little while. Impressive that they were able to hold out for so long. I gotta give it to them. For a nation that was just so new and kind of lacking a lot of resources, and not even getting help from their allies, they were still able to hold out pretty well. Unfortunately, they lost against the two powers of Germany and Russia. Next is Romania. Romania, I'm gonna put a C, just like her other allies. They kind of were we were there, all of them except Greece were teaming up with the Axis powers. I'm pretty sure a lot of Slavics lived in those countries, except Greece and Finland. Anyway, I don't know what this one is. I'm gonna just say I don't know. I don't know what they did. I have no idea what this country is. Tell me in the comments below, what did they do? What did these countries do? I have no idea. Let's skip to Yugoslavia, then we'll go with our 3 powers. Yugoslavia is C. Actually, maybe a D. They had a lot of land they still were taken so quickly. So, D. I don't have that type of knowledge of what they did specifically during the war. I just know they didn't do that well. If they would have held for a slightly longer time and would have maybe even taken a bit of land back, then yeah, that would be commendable, but no. Alright, our 3 superpowers. First, we have the British Empire, the UK. The UK, I'm gonna put at an S. I know what you're thinking, why an S? They were able to keep on holding in together throughout the entire war. They never surrendered once. And, man, like, they did so great during the D-Day invasion as well. They were there from day one. The only thing I don't like was them just waiting the whole time. They should have immediately started mobilizing as soon as Czechoslovakia was taken, but they also were completely destroyed after World War I. So they were trying to just fix themselves up. I'll give them an S just because I have a soft spot for the UK now. I watched a lot of British films. I have a soft spot right now.
Hail Messiah! I'm not the Messiah! I say you are, Lord, and I should know. I followed a few. Hail Messiah! I'm not the Messiah. Will you please listen? I am not the Messiah. Do you understand? Honestly!
Only the true Messiah denies his divinity.
What? Well, what sort of chance does that give me? All right, I am the Messiah. He is! He is the Messiah!
Maybe I'll rank them lower over time. Next is America. Another S. America was able to absolutely destroy, and also the Soviet Union. Now, I'll explain my 2 reasons why they both deserve an S. One, so the Soviet Union was able to hold out that entire time against the Nazis. Stalin was able to sort of keep his cool, I guess. And then for America led the D-Day invasion. They led everything throughout, and they won the Pacific War. They just did everything. They won against Japan. They destroyed them and got them to surrender and completely join with them. They were able to build bombs. They were able to stop Germany in their track, and they made sure that the Soviet Union didn't get that much German lands, or as much as possible. So yeah, I would say all that stuff. I'm kind of done with my tier list rankings. Hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe and all of that, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.